Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzzWeaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, pop culture, social media, technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. If this is your first time here to the channel, welcome. And to all of you returning viewers and subscribers, thank you guys so very much for your continued support.
We're going to start things off with this article from Politico. Government suit may force Pence's hand in effort to overturn Trump's defeat. Representative Louis Gohmert of Texas and President Donald Trump's defeated electors from Arizona may force Vice President Mike Pence to publicly pick a side in Trump's bid to overturn his 2020 election loss. So this week, we have been hearing a lot from both camps, from both tribal voices on how things are going to turn out on January the 6th, because this is the pivotal moment. Can Vice President Pence, who would be selecting his own position to return to power, be able to make a decision that he is essentially entitled to do? Because the left tribe is saying, well, no, he's just there as a ceremonial individual, and others are saying, no, he can work within his constitutional rights as vice president to decide on whether or not the particular votes from contested states are valid. So let's take a look at this tweet from Rasmussen. At the moment, the presidency will be in his hands, meaning Mike Pence, and there is nothing stopping Pence under the plenary and unappealable authority vested in him as president of the Senate from declining to open the count the certificates from the 6 disputed states. If they are, as more than 70% of Republicans believe, certifications from non-electors appointed via voter fraud, why should he open and count them? All the votes of all 7 contested states are registered as 0. President Trump will have 232 votes. Joe Biden will have 222, meaning that Joe Biden will not win via electoral vote. I will leave a link to this down below, and I probably just sent this video into demonetized mode because of using this these 2 words right here. But nonetheless, I will leave a link to that. I want to just move on now, because as we were talking about the activities of January the 6th, we can see here that DC hotel frequented by Proud Boys to close January the 4th through the 6th. So this entire week, the 2 tribes are trying to get everything aligned to ensure that their ideology, their philosophy, their worldview, and the way the election turned out is going to work out in their favor. My personal feelings is I'm not entirely sure. It really looks like the establishment is ensconced. They're ready to go. They had all of this planned out with the ballots. They utilized the pandemic. They leveraged the fear from the pandemic to be able to get people to vote via ballot, which created a huge problem because, like Gabriel said here from the Secretary of State's office in many of his discussions or briefings with the media, that Georgia has not used a ballot system in over 20 years. So I think the whole thing was just an overwhelming charge. You know, this gigantic, like opening up a fire hydrant, if you will, and trying to drink from a Dixie cup. And that's kind of the way the Democrats approached this election. They were going to die on this hill, full mass. So a D.C. hotel that is located blocks from the White House and in recent months has been frequented by the far-right group the Proud Boys, announced Monday that it will be closed during the planned pro-President Trump demonstrations next week. Now, it depends on who you read on how this is phrased, because, of course, the Proud Boys are not a far-right group, nor are they part of any white supremacy group, nor any other radical groups that the media likes to tag in their framing, because the Proud Boys are just pro-America. They get together, they have discussions, they do speeches, they sing songs, they wave flags, they go home. And that's pretty much the extent of the Proud Boys. Now, people like to say, oh, yes, but the Proud Boys, they fight and they engage and they're out doing these events, and they're just creating, fomenting and inciting. Well, the only people the Proud Boys fight are Antifa. And Antifa fights civilians. They threaten people who has American flags in their yards of burning their houses down. So it's not like the Proud Boys are out engaging with civilians like Antifa does, threatening businesses. They don't do that. Proud Boys don't threaten businesses. They don't boycott businesses. They don't burn businesses down. They don't threaten civilians. They don't beat up civilians. If they engage with anybody, they engage with Antifa. So we can see here that this particular hotel is decided to go ahead and close because of, identitarian reasons and concerns that they may have based upon the fact that the Proud Boys do stay there. And of course, they just don't want to be part of what's going on, which is why I wonder about how the direction is going, particularly with the establishment. Now, we're going to jump quickly over here to entertainment news. Now, this should come as no surprise to anyone when it comes to identitarianism and intersectionality. But as we can see here, it was alleged Hilaria was faking her background when a woman tweeted last week, "You have to admire Hilaria Baldwin's commitment to her decade-long grift," where she impersonates a Spanish person. Now, a grift is an excellent word to describe this intersectionality and identitarianism, this kind of role play that we're seeing. Remember all those years, President Trump isn't the president because he doesn't have the decorum. He doesn't have the statesmanship. He doesn't have the outer visual superficiality that the left enjoys. They seem to enjoy this pretend world as though the presidency or life is some movie that they have to pick people to play particular roles versus meritocracy. So we have all of this superficiality going on, and we can see a perfect example of that with Hilaria. You have to wonder what is going through the mindset of the left. You guys may remember Rachel Dolezal here, who impersonated a black person, sat on the board of the NAACP for many years before she was called out by her own parents. And then, of course, we see here, Biden picks all-female communications team. President-elect Joe Biden sticking to his promise of identitarianism, intersectionality, and complying with the progressives to put together a diverse cabinet, said Sunday he was hiring an all-female communications staff, including Jennifer Psaki for press secretary. So here we are. The establishment picked their Trojan horse, John Biden. He was going to stick to the progressive line of identitarianism, intersectionality. It's going to be very interesting to see how much of the establishment pushes on Joe Biden. He owes so many people favors now, and we're already seeing where he's given positions to people from Facebook and Google because, of course, we know, as we have talked about here on the channel, that for 4 years, the Democrats have worked alongside the mainstream media, the tech giants, special interest, and of course, all of the Trump detractors to ensure that President Trump would not be elected in 2020. And this is what we're seeing unfolding right now. And it's unfortunate because it is a victory for the establishment. Joe Biden is simply a Trojan horse, and we can clearly see that it is going to be a very superficial, on the surface, platitudes, sloganeering, pandering, and amazing to think that simply by changing the letter, the party letter, next to a person's name who is president, that suddenly the United States is liked again by foreign nations, which just means that Biden will open up the coffers and then he'll give friendship money. And the idea that he would bring people together, that will be healing the country by simply changing the letter of the party next to the president's name. This level of superficiality is dangerous. It's just unfortunate. And this is the game the establishment likes to play. All right, guys. So all eyes on January the 6th. Be there. Will be wild. Pro-Trump protests expected on day Congress set to certify 2020 election results. President Trump warned via Twitter there will be a very big and wild protest on January 6th due to allegations of election, this word. Okay, I can't say that here because YouTube will demonetize yet another video. Washington, Trump supporters are planning a rally on January the 6th, the same day Congress is set to officially approve the 2020 election results, according to a flyer on the Trump March website. All right, guys, so January the 6th, that is where everything is going to go down, as we talked about here earlier on the channel. Apparently, I was going to say that the site didn't want to come up, but it's probably very popular. So January the 6th, we'll probably be able to see a lot of this on Right Side Broadcasting, even on One News Network, as well as several of the other conservative sites that you can watch on live YouTube streaming. If you guys want to check all of that out, of course, you can come here to the March for Trump bus tour, which will have information on the January 6th rally. So as we talked about here, we will have to see what Mike Pence is going to do. You guys will have to let me know down in the comments. Do you think Mike Pence will step up and do what the conservative right and Trump supporters want him to do, or will Mike Pence yield to the establishment? You guys let me know down there in the comments below.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog as we step into the new year. So happy new year. As of this video release, I want to thank all you guys for your continued participation. And if you haven't already, guys, take a moment, look below this video. You can see the various platforms that I belong to. I want to thank all of you guys, especially those on Parlay, Minds, and Gab Alternative Tech, because of course we are greatly affected by that when you guys do visit the links to YouTube. Apparently YouTube is not counting alt tech as views, and that can be quite troubling. But nonetheless, your guys' continued support throughout the year and into the new year will be greatly appreciated. And appearing right there on the screen for all of you who are on YouTube, that would be the channel icon to click on to subscribe, as well as notifications. That way you guys will know when there is content here on the channel. And I will see you guys behind that camera next Friday.